Leading rusher is Kris for Slippery Rock, 8 carries, 50 yards on the Seton Hill side. Leading rusher Logan Weiland, 22 for 92 and accounting for a couple of touchdowns. Keone Freeman, 4 of 11, 66 yards. Chris Jones, 6 of 11, 33 yards. No touchdowns between these two. They each had an interception. Leading receiver Tyon Battle, 3 for 48. As we will welcome in Dan Flickinger, our producer extraordinaire, who also can talk a little bit.
I'm just trying to hand things off to the other Dan whenever he's done talking with the guys in the locker room. But
well, we saw him late, Flick. He was pretty fired up, it appeared.
Yeah, he's an emotional guy, and I think the players respond to that for sure. When you look at this final score at 41-17, it's certainly not one that you'll remember fondly, but I do think that in the past, things would have gotten away from Seton Hill very quickly and, would have went south very quickly. And I think that things are a little bit different. I think I see Dan jogging onto the field now. If Kris wants to make a quick U-turn and head back to him, we'll get those guys on. But, again, the final score doesn't really resemble, it doesn't look like improvement, but I think it certainly is on the Seton Hill side. But we'll get ready now to send it down to the Kris and Dan postgame show here at Offutt Field. Guys?
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you sending it down. Coach, a little bit of a lopsided loss here tonight at home. Let's start out a little bit with your message to the team after the game. What were your words, not just in the locker room, but the last minute of the game? You were working the sidelines. What were your messages to the team?
Yeah, I mean, what I love about these guys is they never quit. They never back down. And obviously this is disappointing, and I think what you saw tonight and what I felt was, in my message to those guys, different than where I honestly think we've been in the past. I know this might sound weird, man, but I think our guys believed so much that they were going to win that when, early energy was there, like they were playing, really, really hard. And when some of those mistakes set in that you can't make against really good teams, I think that disappointment that it wasn't going the way they thought it would is what kind of, brought that energy down and brought that I don't want to say belief, because I really think our kids walked out of that locker room tonight believing we were going to come out here and be able to win this football game. So that disappointment, mentally, that adversity is what we didn't overcome, very well tonight, right? So that was my message in there, is this doesn't define us. We're a 2-2 football team, right? What these guys have the opportunity to do for the third time in school history is to never be a losing program. We're 2-2 right now. We come in tomorrow just like we enjoyed wins. You understand and think about this disappointment over the night. We come in tomorrow and we go right back to work, watching film, correcting those mistakes, and that will be our defining moment, not a loss to Slippery Rock, right? But our defining moment will be what our response is. I love this team. I love the mentality of these guys and the leadership in the locker room. Those things were already being said before I even walked in there, so I'm excited to see them bounce back.
What was the message up and down the sidelines there, Coach?
Yeah, just making sure that we were finishing, right? And talk to our offensive line. I think they had some moments today. They were good. Other moments where, the strength of Slippery Rock took it to them a little bit. And the biggest thing that I was telling these guys, right, is who we are as men are defined in these situations, right? Our situation in being down and, not wanting to back down, not wanting to give up, but making sure we were doing everything we could to finish strong. So I love that last drive.
Coach, the quarterback, on the other team to win quite the 1-2 punch in PSAC, if not beyond. And I'll tell you what, I thought the defense, it doesn't look like it, giving up 41 points on the scoreboard, but I thought the defense played pretty good football against a 6th-ranked team in the country. But that 1-2 punch that they have, obviously there's chemistry there. You guys covered. It's not like he was running around free out there, and the defense isn't used to seeing that kind of result. Yeah. So, talk a little bit about their performance tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's where, again, that disappointment set in. I saw some our guys kind of on defense bickering a little bit, and especially at the end of that first half, and guys that were getting on each other. And I want them to hold each other that high standard. But, again, as a defense, this was really the first game this season. They have witnessed, and been a part of, feeling like they didn't do enough. I mean, there's 17 points on the scoreboard, and our 3 defensive leaders are walking off the field saying this one's on us. Like, no, it isn't. This is on us as a team. We all 3 phases have to do, a better job. And at 41 points, we threw a pick 6.
For sure, Coach. Let's move to the offensive side of the ball. You moved the ball on the ground really well. Talk a little bit about that performance and what that means moving forward against the Scots next week.
Yeah, we knew that, last week against Kutztown, we knew that was going to be probably the best box, in my opinion, that we were going to see. We knew we weren't going to, be able to just kind of ground yards all night. Coming into this one, we felt a lot better about being able to stay in some base run game, and let Logan and Jai go one-on-one with some of their backers. And I think those guys, did a pretty good job. Again, I think what we need to make sure we do is get more consistency from the offensive line. I mean, there are times that it's, exactly how you draw it up, perfect, and them being physical. There are other times they're not as physical as they need to, and it's just a completely different run game when they're playing kind of mean football.
For sure, Coach. Let's move to the quarterback position. Obviously, you pulled Jones out. Eddie Scott's down with a tweaked MCL. What's the plan moving forward? Because there's so much weight bearing on that as far as plan, scheme, the game plan and personnel that you're going to use out there. Any ideas or thoughts on what you're going to do there yet?
Yeah, I would say this. Keanu Freeman came out, and to be honest, I think he played really well. It's always easier to come in as the second guy because that pressure just isn't there, and I think he came out and performed really, really well. Again, you saw the pick 6, and people, will look at that moment. But honestly, as an overall, for him being 3, he wasn't getting a lot of reps, So to be able to come in and know what we needed to do, know what the plan of attack was. We called some base stuff with him just to kind of get him going. And I thought, to me, I thought Kris, he had a spark to him. We came out of that half, and I know we didn't finish that drive, but we went right down the field with him making some really, really big plays. And on that 4th down, we got to, convert there in the run game, that we didn't convert. But overall, I really thought he played pretty well. So we'll have to, see film, see where Eddie is health-wise, and be ready to see what we got to do, moving forward. But I will say, it hurts because I love Chris Jones so much, as a person. But at some point, and it hurts to have to do that. But for our team, I think that belief was faltering there a little bit, and we ended up now he was, one touchdown to 8 picks, and it just, for us, I think we had to, make that switch to provide that spark a little bit tonight.
For sure, Coach. Next question. I want to talk. I'm like you. I don't put a lot of blame on officials and bad calls, but it looked like to me tonight, and I have the advantage. I get to listen to these guys talking about instant replay and some blown calls, some bad calls, some missed calls. Your thoughts on the officiating, and you can decline the question if you want. We had full proof that second kick return, there was no hold. It was just a ghost flag that was thrown out there. Any comments on the officiating? It just seemed a little bit lopsided to me down here on the sideline.
Yeah, what I think we have to do really, really well as a program is set the tone that we are a disciplined program. And I still think we are fighting that battle that if we don't want, referees and officials are human beings, so if you look at a stat sheet and you see, well, Seton Hill last week had 11 penalties. Well, Seton Hill last week had 9 penalties. Seton Hill last week had 12 penalties. What do you think when you walk into that game? They do their homework too. You know what I mean? And part of that is on our end of we've got to coach that better. We can't have the first kickoff return that did go to the house, that was a hold, and it was clear as day. So we've got to coach those things better to not have that reputation of, well, we don't do things the right way. Once you kind of have that reputation, it's hard to get away from that. So truthfully, I think we take care of our business and clean up what we need to as coaches, that'll alter that reputation, and you won't see some of that happen.
Coach, final question, and I'm going to end it on a good note here. Luke Hogger tied the record for the longest field goal in Seton Hill program history.
Really?
Do you know who he tied? You played with him.
I would think it's Rael then. Yeah, I would think it's Rael then. Yeah.
Talk about that kick, because I had to ask Coach Snyder. I was like, was that one of Dan's teammates? He was like, yeah, for sure. He played with him. Talk about that moment.
Yeah, Rael was down. Rael's back here all the time. So he's always, coming down with some of the old cast and crew that comes down and still around. John Pomerzinski, another guy I played with, Marco Paul Castro. That crew comes down, and I played with Rael. But in that moment, I actually looked out and Jack is our kickoff guy, Jack Wagner. And I had called up to the box, talked to Coach Castillo. I said, we need Jack here. And Coach Castillo said, no, let him go. Luke's got this. He's been dialed in. He's been locked in. He was really hitting him pretty well in pregame. So Coach Castillo trusted him. I trusted Coach Castillo, and that put points on the board. What an awesome moment for Luke Hogger. That's great.
For sure, and I lied. I'm going to ask another question because we're talking about former teammates. You had a lot of your old teammates back here tonight. What did that mean to you having them on the sideline?
It's special. It's something we need to do more of to continue to build that alumni support, what that group is. And that's something I'll give Slippery Rock a lot of credit for. Their alumni base and the involvement of what, those guys are off the field is what has made that program. You don't just become the number 6 team in the country just because you have good players. It's an entire support system and structure, and they do a heck of a job over there. But part of that is alumni involvement, and to be able to have these guys come down and support and be around the program. We have guys that, coming down and meeting our players, on the field, some of these alumni guys, and just for our guys to see that and feel that and want that support of, an older group of players, like those are the things that can help you become a really, really special program. So to me, it was awesome. Wish we could have done more, to give them the result they wanted and result we wanted. But I know, man, these guys are going to bounce back and make sure everybody's proud of this program.
One of those alum that you refer to often when you speak with Dan on the pregame show is Fardan Allen, and I actually had an opportunity to interview him at halftime, and he was so humbled by you and what the direction that the program is heading in, and I learned that he was playing indoor football at Sioux City. He was a defensive rookie of the year, and I asked him if he was going to continue there next year, and he said to be determined. So I think maybe he's thinking the next big step up. What do you think?
I don't know. He's one heck of a player, so we'd like to do anything we could to help him, to be able to see that. But I think when you go out and play and get a Defense Rookie of the Year, award like that, I think you do turn some heads. And truthfully, Fardan rolled off the couch and went out there and did his thing, to a really high level. And I'd love to see him get opportunities. But just having those guys back that care, guys that, I talked about those guys week one, guys like Aaron Mora, and Keyshawn Petit Frere, and guys like that help lay that foundation of who we are. Again, these are things that I don't want to push alumni away, man. We want these guys back. We want people around the program and guys around our kids. That's how we build this thing to be bigger than what we are, right now. So it's just all those little things we got to keep working on.
Coach, thanks so much for your time. It's always a pleasure to talk with you after the game. Looking forward to next week against Edinburgh, and we'll catch up with you then. Sean, Roger, back up to you.